Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Deputy Chief Devin LaForce, in charge of the Investigative and Support Services Bureau for the Edmonton Police Service. I'm here with Inspector Lance Parker, Staff Sergeant Eric Stewart, Staff Sergeant David Payton, all from the EPS, and Staff Sergeant David Marintet out of Beaumont Detachment. I want to take a moment to assure the community that the EPS has a task force that spans multiple investigative areas from within our service working on this disturbing series of files. Our task force is connected nationally to several policing agencies that are experiencing similar types of crimes. Obviously, there is complexity with these investigations when they span multiple jurisdictions, let alone transnational connections. This now national task force is working very well together and sharing information and strategies with each other. We have met with our South Asian community members and are working collaboratively with them on a number of fronts. We want to encourage anyone who has experienced extortion or any attempted extortion or other crimes in relation to this to come forward to the EPS. I should mention that we need the help from the community on this. The safety of our city relies on this cooperation between the police and the communities we serve. Investigators are here to answer more specific questions to this new trend that is impacting us and other parts of Canada. Rest assured, we will not tolerate our citizens, any of our communities, or our city to be terrorized and extorted by these criminals. With that, I turn it over to Inspector Lance Parker.
Good morning. Thank you for attending today. We want to thank the media for your patience as we gave our detectives a chance to work on the complex investigation involving multiple incidents of extortion, arson, and firearms-related offenses. In a January 3rd news release, we alerted the public to a series of extortions, arsons, and shootings affecting the local South Asian community since October of 2023. I know we've been getting many questions on this file, so I'll just provide a quick update and then we can go straight to questions. So to date, the EPS is investigating 27 occurrences between October and January, believed to be linked to the criminal network committing these series of crimes. Of those 27 files, we are investigating 15 arsons, 7 firearm offenses, and 5 extortions. In one of those arsons, an Edmonton firefighter was injured. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported as a result of the shootings, although there have been a number of close calls. On January 10th, a drive-by shooting in the Cybecker neighborhood sent bullets into a home that was occupied at the time by a family, including children. I'm just going to show you a video of from a surveillance camera. So video was captured of the suspect vehicle, and police are asking anyone with information about the vehicle to come forward immediately. Another arson was also reported in Beaumont in the early morning hours of January 16th, and at this time we believe that it to be connected to our series. We are currently investigating a fire in the Orchards neighborhood that occurred yesterday and may be connected, though that has yet to be confirmed. The amount of property damage as a result of the arsons and shootings is estimated to be at least $9 million. At this time, we believe the series is being committed by a group of local individuals being directed by a suspect in India. While there are similar occurrences in BC and Ontario, there is no evidence to suggest they are related to the Edmonton incidents. To date, police have arrested 6 young males in connection with these arsons and firearms offenses. The project team or task force is working locally and with police in other jurisdictions to obtain the necessary evidence to arrest and successfully prosecute those responsible. In the meantime, we are asking the community to come forward and report anything they know about this crime, especially if they have been the victim of extortion or threats. There may be people out there who have paid the extortion fee and have not reported to police. And if that's the case, we want to know about it. The only way to identify these suspects and stop these crimes from happening is to gather evidence to arrest them and get them in front of the courts. And we need your witness information to do that. Thank you, and we can take questions now.
Okay, so just before we get to questions, I just want to remind everyone online, we have a lot of people in the room and a lot of people online. So we're going to do one question and one follow-up per outlet to start. We'll start with the people in the room, and then we'll go to the people online, and then we'll see where we're at for time. And I'm going to pass the mic around just to make sure we capture the audio of your question. So who wants to start?
Darcy Robchan, City News. With respect to the investigation, can you speak to how this extortion scam works? Like, folks are approached, are they expected to pay one time or ongoing? And then if they say no, obviously this fire happens. Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Well, Staff Sergeant Dave Payton answer.
Yeah, so I guess the way in which that the extortion occurs is that the way in which it occurs is that typically our victims receive a WhatsApp communication. And then from there, there's a request that comes along with that for some compensation to allow those victims to remain safe.
And you said that these incidents that you recapped have happened since October 2023. Can you talk about, again, with respect to the investigation, what happened since then that sort of led to this rise in arsons? Why is it targeting home builders as well?
Well, it's our belief that they're targeting home builders just maybe because of the fact that they view them, or the people perpetrating these crimes view them as being affluent and able to provide funds.
Hi, Sarah Comadina with Global News. I wanted some clarification. Do you happen to know how many home builders are being targeted right now and just how many homes are under risk right now?
So we do have a number. At this point, we would like to keep that to ourselves as far as who's actually being targeted and the number of home builders that are being targeted.
You said that just to clarify quickly, there's a suspect in India?
I would say that it's our belief that these crimes are being orchestrated from India.
How difficult does that make your investigation?
It's definitely a challenge, but it's not one that we're not able to overcome. It adds some complexities, but again, as the investigation works through, we'll see where it takes us. And law enforcement has a number of avenues to still pursue those that are trying to reach out from beyond.
Hi, Madeline Smith from CBC Edmonton. Can you say whether these threats have exclusively targeted the South Asian community? Are you seeing it in other communities or affect other folks?
At this point, they have been targeting South Asian affluent individuals.
And can you say more about what the exact demands have been and if you're seeing the same thing in other jurisdictions? I know there was discussion that there isn't evidence currently that everything is linked together, but you are working together. So how is that working?
So there's a demand for a significant amount of money. And then as far as communications with other agencies throughout Canada, we have had those communications. We are comparing notes as to how each and every investigation are continuing. But at this point, I can say that we have no information to believe that it is related, that this network and the occurrences that are happening in our city and in our region are linked whatsoever to any investigations that are occurring in any other jurisdiction in Canada.
Nav Sangha with CTV News. You said the suspect is in India, but does he have any ties here in Canada to gangs here, or was he ever a resident here?
I would say our belief is that it's being orchestrated from India. As to who we believe may or may not be directing this, I think at this point we'll we'll just leave it as we believe it's being orchestrated out of that country.
And have any of the people that you charged, the 6, left the country? Do you know?
We're aware of one individual that has likely left the country.
Can you name the individual?
I won't at this time.
This is Gusharan from My Radio 580. My question is community supportive enough to coming up with the information you require to investigate?
I think we would like to see more information coming from the community. We understand, why they would maybe be reluctant, but I think it's important that they do come forward and they do present us with as much information as possible to assist us with this investigation.
So is there any town hall meetings or, in progress or are being arranged to pacify the community a little bit or encourage them to come forward with the more information?
Yes, there is. There is one that's being planned. I think those plans are underway, and we hope to have something in the very near future.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room that didn't get a chance to ask? Okay, I'm going to go to Stephen Chase from the Globe and Mail online. I think you had a question, Stephen.
Hi, thanks very much for taking our questions. Can I ask you, when you talk about a suspect in India, are you talking about a gangster, someone affiliated with a criminal gang?
I think our belief is that this is a criminal network and that the fact that these are being orchestrated by someone who we believe or people who we believe are in India. As far as the network itself goes, we believe that the ones that are committing these offenses reside here in the Edmonton region.
Did you have a follow-up, Stephen?
I do, yes, thanks. My follow-up question is, are you getting the assistance you need in India? Are you talking to officials over there? Is there anything more you need in terms of connections with Indian law enforcement or Indian authorities?
Hi, Devin LaForce here. Just letting you know that we're working with our federal RCMP partners. And so with our federal partners, they have obviously their liaison officer program and liaison officers in external countries. And so we're working with RCMP on that one.
Thanks, sir. And Jackie from the Journal, I think you had a question.
Yes. Would you characterize this as organized crime or crime family?
Yeah, I would very much say that this is organized crime. Absolutely. Whether it's just I wouldn't say that it just involves one single family.
Do we have some idea of how much money has already changed hands from people that have come forward and say, yes, I've been victimized?
We don't, but we do want anyone that has paid money to please come forward and get in touch with one of our investigators.
Do you know how much what the increments of money are, like how much they are asked for to pay either one time or repeatedly?
All I'll say at this time is that the amounts that are being asked are significant. It's a significant amount of money.
Dash Sharma from Asian Tribune.
Yeah. My question is, are you getting more information and you will come out with complete resolution or reporting on this? And second is, I live in Beaumont. 2 incidents have happened in Beaumont. Are you addressing Beaumont issues as well? And are they correlated to incidents in Edmonton?
So our investigative team is set up to take every occurrence that occurs in the Edmonton region. So our investigators have already spoken to the RCMP and are working with them with respect to that occurrence. And sorry, what was the first question?
My first question is that when the report would be final as you are working on it, what could be a time frame to get a final report from EPS?
It's a complex investigation. As already stated, we're at 27 incidences with possibly another one as well that's just been added. So there's a significant amount of work that still needs to be done. So I wouldn't want to attach a time frame to it at this point.
Thank you.
And next on the list was Jarnell Basota from 101.7. I don't know if you had any questions, Jarnell? We can circle back to you. Eileen Bell, Ched. Furkan from CBC. Jeremy from the Canadian Press.
Hi, it's actually Brittany for the Canadian Press. Sorry about the confusion.
Brittany.
Just wondering if you've had to rely on other jurisdictions or have reached out to other jurisdictions where maybe something similar has happened, and if so, what jurisdictions you've reached out to.
So we have had some events in other jurisdictions, and we're working with the agencies from those areas. And then again, I just want to point out that in relation to this kind of similar type incidences that are occurring throughout the country, I can say that it is our belief at this time that it is unrelated to events that are occurring in any other jurisdiction in Canada.
Did you have a follow-up, Brittany?
Thanks. Yeah. And sorry if I missed this. I was a little bit late getting on. But aside from targeting like affluent South Asian families, has there been any other motive that you've been able to determine on why these specific people are been targeted?
We're working through the investigation. I think at this point that's our operating assumption. I think we'll continue to see where the investigation takes us.
And was there anybody online that I missed? Okay, so we'll go back to the room. Any further questions in here? Sure. Nav, you want to speak?
Sure. Is CSIS involved in this investigation?
I won't speak to that.
Okay. Do you have a message for people living in these newer neighborhoods? They're obviously afraid. What can they do? What should they watch out for?
Yeah, you know what? Thank you for that. It's, when we talk about the situation is obviously impacting the South Asian community, and what I think is important to point out is that, it's going to take a community effort. And when I say that, it's not just South Asian community. I mean, everybody in the city that can point out things that such as suspicious vehicles in neighborhoods. If contractors are working in those areas and they're seeing people drive through that don't belong, we need to know about that. We need to hear from them. We believe that the individuals that are committing these offenses do some form of recce prior to committing those crimes. And so, again, it's critically important that if people are seeing people in these communities that don't belong, that they reach out to us.
And just one quick follow-up. I know that South Asian home builders are being targeted, but are there other business owners also being targeted as well?
At this time, the only ones that we are aware of are home builders.
Hi, Rod from City TV. This came to light about 10 days ago, something like that, as far as the extortion element, et cetera. And these crimes are still happening, even with this bright spotlight shone on it. How brazen is that, and does that help or hinder your investigation?
I would just say it's concerning. There is absolutely a level of brazenness about it, and it's definitely concerning. Given the fact that we've actually charged people in relation to who we believe are involved in this series, and so the fact that it's still continuing is concerning. However, the investigation is just now really starting to take shape and really starting to get going. And so we'll see where that takes us in the near future.
You discussed the number of firearms events, I believe. Are those all shootings, or what exactly are you talking about when you say that?
Hi, Eric Stewart. So we've had multiple shooting events that have taken place, releasing video today of one of those events. We have other events that we are investigating. I will say this, that it's Edmonton based, but also reaches outside of Edmonton. I won't disclose the jurisdiction of those, but we have multiple shootings that have taken place. There's been some other firearms offenses that I can't disclose here right now, which are ongoing investigations, but the shooting part is what we're actively looking at right now.
Okay, but the number of events you've talked about today, those are all shootings, or they're a variety of firearms offenses?
I would say the majority of our shootings, there's a couple firearms offenses that relate to our shootings.
Okay. And then can anyone say anything about how the communication is happening here, if there's someone potentially orchestrating this from another country, and how people locally are getting involved in this? What do you know about that?
Yeah, I think it's in terms of the communication is coming from a WhatsApp. That's how they're the victims are being reached out to. That's the medium that's being utilized.
Sorry, I mean communication between the alleged perpetrators here.
Like how are they communicating?
Yeah, how is this being orchestrated?
Yeah, I won't speak to that at this point.
We're hearing that some of these home builders are now looking into hiring security which costs thousands. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that, and if you think that's a step that is appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that it's come to that, but I think any assistance that any of those individuals can provide us will be great. I mean, it's an extra set of eyes in some of these areas that houses are going up in. I should say that we have reached out and had a meeting with the Canadian Home Builders Association, so we had that conversation, and we'll continue to work with them on maybe some strategies and things going forward, but. At this point, I think the way in which those resources are being deployed by those companies are appropriate.
One question, sir. Most of the home builders who are the victims in this crime are reluctant to speak to the media or in the community at large. Are they giving you enough information? Are you satisfied with all the information you are gathering from them?
Yeah, again, I'd point out, we understand why they're somewhat reluctant to come forward, given the totality of the circumstances. But we are interacting with them almost on a daily basis. We're encouraging them to continue to assist us and to continue to provide us with the information that's going to be required to secure convictions for all the individuals that are involved.
Incident occurred few days ago in Beaumont. I was investigating that as a media, and what I found out in that area, they had their own security personnel there, all the builders, and all these signs were taken off from all the houses, the newly built house. Even some outsider person cannot tell which home belongs to who. And do you see this inside job? Somebody is knowing the demographics and everything very thoroughly to carrying that sort of crime?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge concern. I mean, if you think about even what do they know about the condition of the homes that adjoin the ones that are being targeted, right? Are they occupied? What are they doing to actually determine that? So it's definitely a concern to us. It's something that again, we'll continue to work with our partners and stakeholders and to try to develop some strategies on how best to look at that problem.
And I'm just going to go back online. I see we have a question from Stephen Chase with the Globe and Mail.
Hi, yes, I have a follow-up question. I wanted to ask you, you
the phrase, you keep using the term South Asian to describe the community that's being victimized by this. That covers like, I think, what, I don't know, 8 countries. Is this primarily people of Indian origin? Because that's what we're hearing in Brampton and Surrey and Abbotsford, that this is the particular community that's primarily being targeted.
Sorry, that was very broken.
The question was, sorry, we had a little bit of sound trouble, but I think what he's asking is, are most of the victims of Indian descent specifically?
Yes.
And my follow-up, thank you very much. My just follow-up question is, you announced the arrest of those 6 people and, charges laid against 6 people in that last press release. Were all those people Canadians, or were some of them Canadian permanent residents and some citizens?
It's my understanding that at least one of them is a permanent resident, but their actual circumstances are not completely known to me. So I would probably just leave my response at that.
Thanks, Stephen. And it looks like Jackie from the Journal has another question.
Yeah. Is technology making an old racket up to date? I mean, this is not a new idea, right? The extortion for money for protection. Is technology giving this a very a cool new spin?
You know what, I think in other jurisdictions, they're seeing it unfold in maybe your typical manner in which it's coming to them in form of a handwritten letter. So I don't know that technology is necessarily posing any significant problems to our investigation.
Okay. I'm sorry. Then also, are any of the charged suspects still in custody, and are there any other arrests pending?
There is one of the individuals continues to remain in custody. And as far as additional charges, again, you'll have to bear with us and just await as the investigation develops.
And we have another question online from Jarnal Basoda with 101.7. He's asking, is there any other businesses, like business owners, that are affected besides those who own home builder associations or home builders?
Again, to our knowledge, we're only aware of the home builders having been targeted at this point.
Was there any other questions online before I go back to the room? Okay, it looks like Sarah has another question here from Global.
We're just wondering why release the names of the suspects if they are flight risks?
Well, I don't know that they're flight risks. And so again, we're looking for information from the community, and no doubt that people in the community know who these people are, who they associate with. And so if some of that information comes back to us, then we would think that that's beneficial.
Hi, Madeline from CBC again. A couple of weeks ago, I think we were at 18 incidents, and now this is 27. It's pretty volatile. People are quite afraid, as we've heard. How are you going to assure the community that they will be safe to come forward and that they will be protected as all of this is continuing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult set of circumstances, but we're taking a number of steps in order to address this issue. There's a lot of community outreach. There's again some planned meetings with the community. We're looking just even internally. A lot of that information is being provided to our street level police officers that can regularly patrol those neighborhoods. We're working with the RCMP in some of the strategies that they can assist with in terms of identifying some of the individuals and some of the circumstances. So it is a complex problem, but I think we've got a pretty good handle on the outreach to a lot of the stakeholders and a lot of the organizations and agencies that are assisting us. Anybody?
Thank you. I'll just add, of course, that's part of the reason why we formed up the task force, obviously. So we have dedicated staffing. We're making sure all that information or all those questions get, aligned and coordinated to the task force. And of course, we're reaching out to those other agencies that are experiencing similar types of crimes, sharing information strategies and intelligence. So this is all something that we're all playing catch up to. So we definitely are definitely staffing and resourcing this series of events way more than we were when at its infancy. And certainly we're kind of ramping things up as things get ramping up with those actions in the community.
Were police taking this seriously enough when it first started back in October?
Absolutely. But until you have dedicated resources to be able to kind of align files, connect files, and put those detectives into contact with each other, then a lot of times detectives or an agency will still work in a little bit of a silo, taking that event absolutely seriously, but not understanding the connections of that event with other events.
My next question is a bit complicated. There is a NRI policing in Punjab, in India. And they have an online portal to report any crime happening in back home. So are they encouraged, or do you know if any victim have filed a complaint in India against that person or persons who you think or they think are involved in this crime from India or Punjab?
Yeah, to be fair, we don't know that yet. But we do know that, as we're kind of identifying suspects that might be orchestrating this from India, then again, it's just important for India police and our RCMP federal police and partners to start making those connections to investigate that portion.
If it's going through all the international challenges and all the international policing, it may take some time, but somebody can directly file a complaint from here as a NRI, as a non-resident Indian, and that will be taken up right away from the Punjab police. So we are not aware if anybody have taken that road yet.
Not aware.
Thank you.
You said you believe that the extortion attempts are happening in BC and Ontario are separate than the one that's happening here. Yeah. Do you think that the individual in India was seeing what was going on in BC and Ontario and kind of just did a copycat?
I hate to make assumptions, right? But
Yeah.
I do certainly know that when you look at Lower Mainland or Peel or some of these other regions that have been impacted outside of Edmonton and region, that everything really started to kind of, came from zero or at least not a trend until kind of like the middle of October, and so kind of ramped up from there across the country. So whether or not it's copycat or the same, we just don't have direct information or intelligence to connect those crimes.
Any other questions in the room? I think Jackie Carmichael has one more from the Journal.
Yes, thank you. We know that immigrant populations are particularly vulnerable because they haven't gotten established, and I'm wondering if the people that are being victimized or targeted for victimization, if they would be classified as more recent immigrants.
I'm not sure the definition of more recent immigrants, but I do know that the businesses that are being targeted are quite established in the community. So whether it's first or second generation, I suppose, or beyond that, I couldn't tell you.
Thank you very much, everyone.